When do you start getting into your corporate life of sports mind? Is that very far?
It's coming right up. So by the time I got done with all that, it was the late 70s.
Okay.
Okay.
So I had to be at least 8 to 10 years old.
Yeah, you're still wearing diapers. And I fooled around. I did political campaigns, ran political campaigns, because again, my thing was politics. And then finally, about 1980, we got the first woman governor elected in the state, Dixie Lee Ray.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember her.
I do.
Bette Midler said it best. Dixie, Dixie, Dixie. Dixie loves nature despite what it did to her.
Mm. Man, is it the 80s? Guys,
Yeah. And
wow.
So
What'd you learn from
right
that
after
part?
that, well,
Because
I
we had a
worked
stall
for
there.
her. I worked for, these were different days.
Yeah.
So prior to bugging off for Alaska, I was working for John Spellman. Then the King County executive went on to be governor of the state. Dixie beat him. Didn't endear me to all the Spellmanites.
Sure.
But and he was great. I got no issues there. He was a great guy. But this is a point about the different times.
Sure.
Okay. So John was a Republican, but he was quote, real Republican. John Spellman, Dan Evans, Slade Gordon.
Oh yeah.
All right. These guys were Republicans. They weren't morons.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were Republicans, right? They believed in conservative values, strong defense, minimal government intervention, freedom of choice, etc. Right? Authentic conservatives. Well, Warren Magnuson was our senior senator from the state. He'd been in politics since the 30s. He was getting on in those days, but he was chairman of the Ways and Means Committee.
Of the what committee?
Ways and Means, the most powerful committee in the Senate. Henry Jackson, the junior senator, was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. Oh. Okay, you didn't have two more powerful senators in the freaking United States. Now, if the citizenry were smart, you wouldn't run anybody against them.
Sure.
Right? They're taking care of stuff. They're bringing home the proverbial bacon. They're shaping the country. They're shaping the world in some cases.
Yeah.
So they put up some, let's just call him one of these nutball Republicans against Magnuson. Now, the guy didn't have much of a chance, but here's how things were different. So I'm working in Spellman's office, and he takes me in there one day, and he says, okay, look, I know you're more inclined towards the Democrats than us, so here's what I want you to do. Come to work here in the morning, but then in the afternoon, you go work on Magnuson's campaign. Yeah. It was like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And we
Strategist.
did. Exactly. He's no fool. And so I did. And, of course, Magnuson won and so forth. And, then it was on, and we did a bunch of city council races, and then the famous Dixie. And part of that was my then girlfriend. Her father was Landslide Lenny Sawyer, Speaker of the House. All right.
Wow, anyways.
Yeah. So it was politics was all around me. And Lenny was a little guy from Sumner. I do mean little. He was like 5'6". Basketball guy.
Well, you should say that because we played 600 tournament in Sumner.
Yeah. Well, that's probably where it came from.
Probably was.
Yeah. So Lenny would be your guy.
Yeah.
He was a basketball star. Right. Loved the game. Every time we go down there, every weekend, we had the hoop out, and we're always doing something out there shooting hoops.
Yeah.
And Lenny was a character. He didn't like what he referred to as all those suits up in Seattle.
Okay, yeah.
So in those days, there was the closest thing Seattle had to a gangster was this guy named Frank Calicurcio. Yeah.
Sounds like a nice.
Oh, it sounds like a good gangster name. Frank ran card rooms, strip clubs, parking lot, all
speakeasies.
Yeah, all those kinds of things. And the feds were always trying to nail him. They just couldn't get him. And so he, of course, was buddies with Lenny. So I'm down at Lenny's house down here on Lake Tapps. And I'm a kid now. I'm 20 something.
Yeah.
And starry-eyed kid, and Big Frank. If you look up gangsta in the dictionary, you have his picture there. The big aviator sunglasses, right? Grease back hair, shirt down to here, belly.
Friend of yours is a friend of mine.
Hairy chest and lots of gold chains, gold rings, the whole thing. So we got, and they're sitting outside, and Frank's smoking this big cigar, you know, and Lenny's like, yeah, come on over here, meet Frank. So I'm talking to Frank, and Lenny's asking, well, what's going on? What have you been up to? I said, well, you know, blah 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 blah. I said, but look, I got a question. I know you guys are busy, but just, you know, I just got a quick little question for you. I got some guy calling me up trying to sell me life insurance. I don't know anything about this. What do I need life insurance for? And before Lenny could answer, Frank goes with his cigar. He goes, kid, let me tell you something I learned in my business. Never make yourself more valuable dead than alive. You don't need no life insurance. Words of wisdom from Big Frank, right? Never make yourself more valuable dead than alive. You know, it's
a lot of logic to that.
I got that. Okay. So I had lots of influences, wisdom sources in my life. Big Frank. Yep.
Well, you got a lot of perspective. I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But you guys still make a choice. Where do I stand? Where am I going?
Exactly. Well, I still don't have life insurance.
You did all right.
The message stuck, right? So, yeah. So my influences, lots of very life experiences. So by the time I'm getting to be 30 now, so life is happening. I had to have two conversations with myself. Okay. One is, your body's not going to take this physical abuse of playing rugby much longer. Okay, you've been at it for over a decade. It might be time to hang up the cleats. Because for the most part, I mean, I was having fun with life. My 20s were a great adventure, but in terms of kind of building a career or anything, you know, that wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, maybe I better start paying attention to that, because a lot of my peers were not only building careers, they're building families.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm
bachelor with the rugby guys.
Well, I'm divorced by then, you know, so like, well, I'm not doing so good there.
Yeah.
So, and the second thing, you know, just generally tying to what I was just saying is, you know, it might be time to grow up. Family, career, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I never proved to be very good at either one of those things. So,
can't be good at everything. You're just
learning. But I quit playing rugby, and that's when the saga began, right?
Okay.
Because you heard about the book.
Yep.
That I read,
Yep.
not that I wrote, but that I read,
Sure.
You know, George Leonard's book. And it came back to me then, well, I'm going to take up Aikido. I met the sports psychologist.
You might as well say it's Ultimate Athlete. Is that right?
Yeah, it was the Ultimate Athlete. Yeah. And then the wheel, as I said before, the Providence intervenes a lot, right? Or I guess another way, well, never mind that. We'll save that one for later. But what didn't become clear. What happened was, all of a sudden now, a weird momentum is picking up, right? So I met the sports psychologist. He had read he knew George's work, because George was also an Aikido teacher, okay? So we start this little business, and we got these ideas, and we thought, let's reach out and talk. We actually talked to George Leonard. He was fascinated with what we were doing. He became a mentor.
Yeah.
To us. He came up eventually, as the company grew, I had him come up and teach, you know, weekends, or to the employee body. And this guy in the book, Richard, in his black belt test, we hired him to come and be an instructor for our special forces program. So all this stuff that it was now, it was like a few years ago, was like this, Mr. Fednex, like, I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Now, and in fact, they're working for me. How did that happen? Right? You know? What the hell's going on here?
Man.
Yeah.
He's meant to be.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Chris, I've heard a lot of your stories now. Why are you doing this still? Why, after all these years of doing such work, you could probably just do whatever you want. Why are you still sticking in this business?
Well, it's simple. Yeah, you're right. I don't have to do anything at this point in life. But I look around at my peers, and you know, they're all worried about grandkids and knee replacements, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not me. You know, I do this because it's who I am. It's what I do. It's now, at this point in life, I can safely say I know what it takes to develop human potential. I have done it across arenas that other people can only imagine, right? We've had success every place that we've been, we've learned, and now it's time to make this available to everybody. And that's what we're up to. 10, 15 years ago, unless you were working for some top tier company, you couldn't get access to our work.
Yeah.
Right? Now, with the advent of technology and so forth, it's finally opened the doors to where we can make it available to everybody. And that's my goal. I want to reach and touch as many people as I can while I can and make a difference in their lives. It isn't any more complex than that.
Well, I can tell you from my perspective, and I'm 50, and I've seen a lot too in my life, but this whole upheaval in the last 5 years, 4 years, this last 2 years with the virus, it's almost like back to the future, because we have to go back to a lot of these principles and values that you talk about in your book and the fundamentals, and there's not a lot of people teaching those things. And so there's a huge need for it.
No, there is.
In our personal lives, at our family level.
Yeah.
All the way up to the corporate level. So I think it's like a whole new fertile land with some of that older experience that's actually probably sustained over time. I don't know too many people like you, so
you can count yourself lucky.
Yeah, I'm lucky. No, I don't think that's true.
Yeah, no, it's a mess out there right now, to be sure. I mean, the plague has disrupted everything, but it was just about to go anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? It just accelerated. So what's going on? You've got all these TikTokers and YouTubers, and they're all 20-something. Oh, I'm an influencer. It's like, no, you're just a ridiculous.
There's no substance.
There's nothing there, right? Texas, you're all hat and no cattle.
Yeah.
All right. All form, no substance. However you want to put it. I get these kids come to me. I'm 22 years old. I want to teach leadership. What should I do? Come back in 20 years and let's talk about it.
Yeah.
You can't teach anything, right? You don't have any experience.
I know this is off center for what we're talking here, but I see it from the youth level in basketball. It's like people are not going through the process. They're just assuming a position, and then someone who's been through the process sees them and goes, "This is a joke." And here's the joke: people are believing these people.
Yeah, exactly.
And they say, "Well, because they're influencers, and these knuckleheads are lazy."
Yep.
And they don't read below they don't look under the hood. They don't do their work, and now you got chaos because no one knows what the hell's going on, and they're fighting over useless knowledge that's not even true.
Yeah, well,
at least that's what I said at the lowest level, which I never saw that.
There's that.
I'm not saying it's across the board.
I understand. It's like that you went and took a weekend course doesn't make you a coach.
Exactly.
Okay? Sorry. That you took some seminar on whatever doesn't make you an expert, and know that you read my book or anybody else's book doesn't mean you can teach.
Well, you told me already, intellectual knowledge and body competence.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can, people used to worry, well, don't you want to keep all of your notebooks and your workbooks and your course materials, under lock and key? I'm like, no. Well, what if somebody takes it? Well, you won't be able to do anything with it.
Still got to do the work.
Reading it is not being able, you can print it and copy it, but that doesn't enable you to do anything. It's knowing what and how to do that matters. There's a classic story of the old guy, he's a pipe fitter on an oil tanker. Right, so just think of the miles and miles of pipes and stuff in there that makes this thing run. So he's the engineer. Excuse me. And some big fancy shipping company comes in and buys this tanker, and they fire the guy because they can get some cheaper, younger guy to do his job, okay? And then they're filling this tanker up and they're ready to leave port, and it won't go. And the young engineer's like, well, so they said, well, get the old guy back here. Let's figure out, he'll fix it. So they get the old guy back, and he has his little toolkit, and he gets out a stethoscope and a hammer. And he goes, he puts his stethoscope on a pipe, and he taps here, and walks over here, and he taps there. Does this for about 10 minutes. And he gets in his, puts the little hammer down, gets out a big hammer, and goes up to this joint and goes, wham!
It's clouded.
Everything's working great. And they said, great, thank you, send us an invoice. And he says, okay, so they get an invoice for $1 million. And what the hell? What do you mean? How the hell do you justify, itemize the invoice? So he says, okay. You get a 2-line invoice. Hitting pipe, $10. Knowing which pipe to hit.
Oh, yeah.
990, 90.
The whole thing.
Yeah, it's, you can
look
at all the diagrams, you can read all the books, but if you don't know which pipe to hit at exactly the right moment in time, it doesn't do you any good.
Yeah. Right?
And in a game like that, $1 million, you're going to spend that in 3 or 4 days with the boat sitting idle, loaded up with product. So it's time value money.
Well, so I see it as there's no better time for what you're doing now, and the fact that all your friends are kind of settled down and is taking care of grandkids. I think there's a huge demand and need for you right now.
Well, exactly, and it's not just for young kids. It's these
Everybody.
old guys.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys. What are you going to do for the next 20 years? You're going to sit there and play golf every damn day? Don't be ridiculous.
It's funny, my
You're gonna wither up and die.
my dad, who's actually in Spokane, who stays really active, he's so frustrated because all of his friends don't do anything.
Yeah.
He says they're getting fat and lazy. They don't do anything, and he goes, I feel like might as well just die.
Well, if you look at Social Security, it was designed to get you from 65 to 70 because that's by the time most people were dead.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't expected that you're going to live to be 90.
Yeah.
Right? And so you've got this whole, final chapter of your life that was, was for final quarter. That's as long as the first three. You want to sit on a couch for, yeah, you will die. And to be blunt about it, you probably should. If all you want to do is sit there and suck up air and water, you're not contributing to anything. Sorry, but.
Yeah, who's the gentleman that's in his mid-90s is in Mary Poppins, the actor?
Oh, yes.
Disney.
Yeah, that guy.
I listened to a thing, this is 3 years ago, and he says, hey, how do you keep young? Well, got to stay active.
That's right.
And and you think he was 25. I go talk to my dad's buddies, and I'm like, are you 105? There's nothing there.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they've kind of slowed down, there's nothing there.
And they're not up to anything anymore.
No.
They got no sense of purpose, to your point.
Well, I think it's a blessing in disguise, Chris, to have your knowledge and with the way technology's gone, because you can now reach these people who need to hear it, and they're probably waiting for this. So with your new app, use of all the technology to distribute it, I think you're gonna help a lot of people.
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
That's the plan.